praised his predecessor, Reverend David Wilson, on his friendly demeanor, Reverend Atkins did not express content with his other views. In his writings to the Wesleyan Ministry House in London, Reverend Atkins wrote of the conditions of the churches and his concern of the spiritual condition of the people, saying they were living without God or hope in the world. Atkins also emphasized his contempt for the culture and physical differences which were still in place from the former masters compared to their former slaves.
The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is Saturday, November 26th. Your ticket, your chance, your prize. Grand prize $40,000. Second prize $4,000. 6 $1,000 prizes and more. Get your $25 tickets now through Rotary Central members, Rotary Central ticket sellers, eventpro.ky, or WhatsApp Rotarian Annie Rose Scott in Caymanbrack at 916-7310. The Rotary Music Extravaganza at Salty's Grand Harbor. Performances by Heat, Fabulous 68 and CNB. November 26th, you can be the winner. Proceeds fund Rotary Central Community Projects. Rotary Central NPO number 232. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It is another magnificent Monday as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. Honored to be able to welcome to our studio. Recognizable name and a face, a new title in place. Want to know who it is? Well, hit our YouTube channel or just stay tuned and we'll tell you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks very much for joining us. And as we start the program, two quick things come to mind. One is a special thanks to, Miss Laura Young and her colleagues over here at Radio Cayman, Catherine Ray, for doing such a stellar job. Last week and a bit, I was able to be elsewhere and doing other things. Actually, this time, with an official sanction. Check that out. And then secondly, I know it's a difficult time for many of us, and if you find that we get a little bit bit of a unsettled, well, forgive us. Our prayers and our thoughts are with family and friends who are still reeling from tragic losses. So be mindful, my friends. Life is short and it's a blessing, and if you don't stand in the gap and say your prayers and give thanks, then it will be unto you. 894-9837, 1-800-534-TALK, as we welcome the operations manager for the oncology program at Hull City. It's Jennifer Weber. First time I realized, Jennifer Lynn.
Yes, my middle name is Jennifer Lynn.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're not the first Jennifer Lynn I know.
Yeah, so, Jennifer was the most popular name for about 10 years, beginning with the year that I was born. And every
1970?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Every Jennifer I've ever met, they're either Jennifer Ann, Jennifer Lynn, or Jennifer Marie. Not much originality from any of our parents, but, yep, that's my middle name.
Well, we give thanks and we celebrate and we laugh, and if it's okay, with your sort of not just acquiescence but joining me, one of our wonderful listeners, Miss Charlene up in West Bay, celebrated her birthday yesterday. So I won't ask you unless you wish to join me. We sing happy birthday to her at some point.
Sure.
You want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Why not? Okay, Miss Charlene, are you ready? I'm gonna be the backup singer. Paul, come on, join us. Come on, Paul. He's probably the first Trinidad that can't sing. I mean. And he probably missing the shark and bake, but that's a different story. Okay, so today we pretend it's her birthday, right?
Okay.
You'll sing?
Sure.
And you've done this with me before?
Nope, but I'm down for this.
Listen, my mama said two things, you must be respectful and, so I try hard to do that. So respectful, we offer up to her and to others a very happy, wonderful, blessed birthday. So, come on, Miss Jennifer. Happy birthday to you. Let's go.
I don't know that version. That's very jazzy.
Yeah. Well, the best page has.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you do it? Dun, 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 dun. Go. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miss Charlene. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
That's right, man. And she is probably, with her families, without question, they would say, look at that, She's just as beautiful as she was in her teens.
Oh,
with a gracious heart, a winning smile, and that wonderful aroma that emanates from her kitchen. And I thank you for being with us. I think we need to bring some joy to our life. And this month, I'm not sure what day it is in the month anymore, but we're almost at the end of it. Come 2 months hence, almost to the day. Hopefully we'll be gathered under the Christmas tree, assembled around the dining table somewhere in the backyard and celebrate, recognizing that it's about giving thanks, but also remembering that some are going to be challenged. And as we look at breast cancer awareness, to all of the charities and all of the service clubs and all of the wonderful people who give so tirelessly, I think the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, without any sort of fanfare, they have set the pace as theirs, brother club. That was nice, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, you imagine if I had a script. I might get in trouble sometimes,
You're absolutely right. The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, I always call them the OGs of breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
They were the original ones who pioneered community education and awareness in the community. They've been doing this more than 27 years. They always put out their pink calendar, and they do education and awareness programs in the community in every district. They do one in the morning, which they call the district awareness meetings that are from 10 till 12. That just happened this morning at Georgetown Hospital. And then they also do education they do awareness meetings in the evening at 7 o'clock, and they do clinics from 10 till 12. And when they do the awareness meetings, lots of women show up, and actually the next one that people need to know about is Thursday. So mark your calendars, ladies. It's the last chance. So Thursday, October 27th, is the Georgetown Awareness Meeting by the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. They're the pink ones. And they will be having their event at the Lions Community Center. They have a speaker coming, and you listen to the speaker. They'll have nice snacks for you. And at the end, you can get your voucher to get your mammogram, courtesy of the fundraising that they do, and thanks to all of the organizations who help provide those mammograms for them.
And that's 7 p.m. you said, right?
7 o'clock. That's right. No reservations necessary. No, there are no fees to get in. You can just go, and they always have nice prizes too.
Yeah.
They, little giveaway things and like that.
I mean, I won't reference the wonderful lady who's always in attendance, like many, but you learn a lot. You get a level of reassurance in a sense, and you get to understand that there's genuine compassion. But there's also timely information, and for anyone.
That's right.
You know.
And I just came here from a corporate talk that Health City was doing, and some of the ladies who came in, it was about breast cancer, and some of the ladies that came in said, "Oh, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to come to this, and have my anxiety amped up and worry about cancer." And that struck me because, the point of the education and awareness programs is to reduce the anxiety by providing the information. So you go to the talk, you listen to the information that's provided, you get your voucher, and if you have a question, you can always stick around at the end and ask a doctor. And it's the same with any corporate presentation that's done in the community or anybody else who does presentations. They answer your questions, you get your mammogram, and nobody wakes up and goes, "Hooray, today's my mammogram. I get, the big squish," or "Hey, today's my pap test. Fantastic." Nobody feels like that. But it's something that we need to do when we prioritize ourselves and take good care of ourselves. And it's a quick thing. We get it done, and if everything goes well, we only need to get it every other year, or in some cases every year. It depends on your age and your risk factors, and then you're done. And honestly, you sleep better at night after you've had it, and you know that everything's okay. And remember that the value of the mammogram isn't just having one of them one time; it's to be able to have them over time, over a series of years, so that the radiologist who's looking at these images can compare changes. I heard a doctor talk, a breast cancer surgeon, and she talked about breast cancer and said something that I didn't know that was kind of reassuring. She said 8 out of 10 things that they find or that they see in a mammogram are not cancer. 8 out of 10 are not. Could be a fatty cell, could be a little cyst that's going to go away because of hormones. It could be a blocked milk duct. It could be an infection. Could be lots of other things. So even if we feel a lump and we get nervous and we feel like, "Oh my gosh, I've got something going on," everything that happens in our breast, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't necessarily have to be cancer. But we get it checked out so we know what's going on, and then we can go on with our lives.
Right. Well, when we come back from our break, I want you to share with us. And I'm thinking that more and more that we draw alongside each other and have this discussion and see what else, perhaps through Health City and the offerings that we have in our community. All right, well, Jennifer Lynn Weber, Operations Manager, the Oncology Program over at Health City. Please, if you have a question or comment, you want to be joining the conversation, 949-8837. If you are able to access the Flow toll-free line, it's there for you. I think a call paid the bill this month, so it's a free call. Compliments of Flow. 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
And the whole island is one big party, party, party.
Little Cayman, the 2022 Pirates Fest season starts with you. November 4th through the 6th with the official kickoff at McCoy's Sunset Bar, Friday the 4th, followed by the float parade, 3 p.m. on the 5th, starting from Southern Cross, costume competition, fireworks show, and don't forget about the Pirates Party at the Hungry Iguana. You know them pirates like a little party, Little Cayman style. Little Cayman Pirates Fest, November 4th through the 6th.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Attention farmers, in the event of a storm, the DOA reminds you to take precautions with identifying and safeguarding livestock. Cattle and horses should be loose in pastures that are not prone to flooding. Other domestic livestock, such as pigs, goats, and chickens, should be kept safe in their pens and cages above flood level. Livestock aged 2 months or less should be secured with their mother in a pen or kept loose with their mother in a safe and sheltered area. For livestock emergencies, call DOA Veterinary Services on 916-2218 in Grand Cayman or 925-5765 Cayman Brac, or email ci.agriculturevs@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Ms. Jennifer Weber, the operations manager for Call Joe at Health today. As we talk about breast cancer and breast cancer awareness, and I don't think there's anybody, not complementary service clubs, not other charities, not anyone who would not, as we have at outset shared, that they as you call them, the OGs, making us feel young, or maybe the young people saying, kind of cool anymore. But they spearheaded, and as the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens made that initiative. At that time, it wasn't just because they were primarily or maybe predominantly or perhaps exclusively women. That took a lot of courage. Discussions even now publicly by physicians and even some was still a bit uncomfortable. We talked about getting a mammogram. That's probably words that were not uttered publicly not long ago. A pap smear, what is it? Do you even talk about that? Mm-hmm. But if we have those conversations and we understand, especially for our children, the importance of giving them timely, accurate information, that they can talk sensibly, that they can feel a sense of confidence. And I say that to ask us, the adults, whether it's the upcoming meeting on Thursday at the Lions Community Center, the husbands, the sons, the brothers, the men that are in the lives of our sisters or mothers, and to come along with them, not just because it affects us as men as potential small statistic percentage, but we could still be impacted by breast cancer, but we'll be that supporting cast. We'll have that extra pair of eyes and ears that we may learn something. And during the break, I was just recalling a couple of conversations with I guess my male friends who were saying, in some cases with their mothers, in some cases with their sisters and daughters, in some cases with their wives, and they went, trepidation, got the mammogram, and worrying about, what is this result? And when it comes back, well, we want to do a biopsy, we want to aspirate it. Being there to support, to understand what they're experiencing. And please guide me because I don't wish to be insensitive, but just the process, there are these two, flat iron things that you sit between and it's compressed. Not a pleasant thing at all for anybody, right? And yet being able to say, hey, sorry you got to go through that, but I'm here, eat some chocolate. It can help. It can go a long way. It could make the next visit not so unpleasant, not so much of a sense of fear and anxiety, right?
Yeah, we have to support each other. If it's a couple, men in November start talking about prostate specific antigen tests, PSA tests. And that's a blood test. They take the blood from your arm. They also talk about another test, sometimes referred to in a different way.
Dr. Dre?
Dr. Dre, yes. Otherwise known as pokey pokey, but that's the layman's term.
Let's not go there.
But, nobody wakes up and says, gosh, I'm so excited that that's today. But as adults, that's what we do to make sure that we honor the people who have gone before us and maybe passed away from these cancers because they didn't know. We got to do everything we can to check ourselves, make sure that we're healthy so that we can stick around to be here for our families. Right. And for women, we get our mammogram, and these days mammograms, they're not painful. They're uncomfortable, but they're not painful. So the machine that Health City has, the mammography machine, is a state-of-the-art machine that's called a Pristina General Electric machine. There is not a higher quality machine that exists. And so in the olden days, the two pieces, the two plates
almost,
came down, right, on your breast, and they would squish you, and then the technician would set it, and then the technician goes into the room and goes, okay, take a deep breath, and then presses click, and then comes back out of the room and opens it back up. It's not like that anymore.
Okay.
So what happens is the technician goes, oh, okay, so are we ready? The technician is in the back. Everything's good. The machine starts to come down. And in my mind, what is happening is I feel ow, 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 and then it's done. So it goes down, it takes the image, and then it immediately opens back up. So it's literally just a moment of discomfort.
Yeah.
And it's really not a problem. And we have to do that. The guidelines are you start doing that when you're age 40, unless you have a family history and you've talked to your doctor and your doctor says, oh, in your case, you should do something different. But you should do it starting at age 40. And the new guidelines now are saying that between 45 and 54, you get them every year. Otherwise, you get them every other year. And so this is pretty new information, and this is what the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, the Breast Cancer Foundation, the Cancer Society, Health City, and I suspect other hospitals as well, are all promoting. So it's every other year except for the time when you're most likely to develop breast cancer, which is 45 to 54. Right. And so we do that every year, and it allows the doctor to compare images over time to see if any changes have occurred. And what's amazing about that is this really impacts the ability for doctors to help with early detection, because you don't have to wait until you feel something or you have some sort of symptom. The doctors can see when something is starting to change.
Yes.
So it's like a hurricane, right? The conditions are ripe. It's starting to turn into that. And then they can do something. So there are cases now where women are getting sort of air quotes diagnosed with breast cancer stage 0. I didn't even know that stage 0 existed. There's stage 1 to 4. 1 is the lowest and 4 is the highest. 4 means it's spread all over your body. But now it's being caught at stage 0 because they can see, these are the conditions, this is what's happening. We can see it starting to form. And in those instances, sometimes the doctors can intervene and go, okay, now is the time for some sort of medical intervention. Maybe it means surgery. We cut out that area so that we don't wait until it becomes cancer, or you start taking a medication or whatever. And then it's so much easier. It can be treated and you go on with your life. No chemo, no radiation. Amazing.
And as I listen to you, I'm reflecting on, over the years, not just on-air conversations, but, those discussions as a result of these public presentations, in particular, during October, and having adults sort of separate and apart from adult children who have shared, we've gone to these presentations, we've had, and we're talking to, our adult children, or even sometimes our teenage children, giving them information so that as they become more knowledgeable about things, as they come in to their own, as it were, that they start to appreciate, just like you do other things in preparation for life, here is something else that you need to make note and be aware. I believe I'm not irresponsible in saying it this way. It's never too early to look at your body and do some self-checks.
Right. And, so if anybody is just tuning in now, remember that the last chance to get a free voucher for the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens is going to be this Thursday night, 7 o'clock, at the Lions Community Center. That's the Georgetown Awareness Meeting, and that's put on by the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. If you go there, you'll get to hear a doctor talk, and you can get a voucher for a free mammogram. And if those are what they call charity vouchers. So those are for people who qualify. If someone is listening and they feel like, I don't know if I really qualify for a charity voucher, then Health City currently has a really great offer right now. So for $150 US, you can come and get a mammogram. And if something is spotted and the doctor wants to have a follow-up with you, the consultation is included. So for $150 US, you get a mammogram and a consultation if necessary. So that's a great offer for somebody who maybe has a low-level insurance plan. They've got $200 to $250 in their wellness benefit. Maybe they've used it up because they got a pap test or their teeth cleaned or their eyes checked or whatever for this year. And they realize they don't have any benefits left. They don't really qualify for a charity voucher, but they don't want to pay retail, like hundreds of dollars. This is great. You can call Health City and you can say, hey, I want to book my mammogram. You have to book it this month and have it this month, and that you're calling about the $150 deal. So if you get that, that's amazing. And then you start your new year of benefits in January, and you can use your wellness benefit to do the other things that you can do to help keep yourself healthy.
What's the number at Health City from the call?
Oh, sure. So there's a special number to book the mammogram for this offer. It's 525-8871, or you can email breastclinic@healthcity, all one word, .ky. And remember, it only takes a few minutes to book this. It only takes a few minutes to actually get the test, and you'll sleep better at night because you know you've done the right thing to take care of yourself, and you make it so that your doctors can have all the information so that they can compare over time to make sure that they are able to keep a good eye on you to make sure that nothing is developing in a dangerous way.
All right. So after this break, we'll conclude our discussion with Jennifer, but maybe you can remind us, not only is this, US 150 special for this month, but as you were saying, state-of-the-art equipment that you're using, the consultation is there. And I think sometimes, we see something on offer, on special, we wonder, well, what's the catch? Well, you're putting a premium out there for a good cause, and giving them the quality so they can afford it.
Yep.
All right. We'll talk more about it, and then you can tell us about any other initiatives that you're coming up. And listen, it's a challenging discussion, but I'm glad to know that we have these public opportunities. We'll be able to talk about cancer in a way that is informative, is timely, is respectful, and is providing, wonderful resources. So stay tuned and rejoin us after the break.
Pirates Fest. A little bit of old, a little bit of new. The evolution of Cayman's Pirates. A little bit of fun for everyone. Grand Cayman festivities from November 10th through the 20th. 10 days, 33 events. From happy hour parties, cardboard boat races, the Trial of the Pirates, float parade, national song competition, pooch parades, races, fireworks. So many fireworks. Pirates Fest is here. 33 events, 10 days, November 10th through the 20th. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
Pirate fire, raging through Church Street, bright and little Cayman, putting on some
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Ms. Jennifer Weber, the operations manager right over at Health City, part of the oncology program. And I think for many of us, when we hear oncology, it's kind of a nice euphemism almost. Cancer treatment. We get the space where the discussion of cancer, we see the respect that is shown, and we see again, if they don't mind, the Leinster Trop Gardens, the survivors' breakfast that they do, honor people. I would probably say that many of us would say, well, it's unfortunate that they're just more and more and more and more and more and more. But if we are, mindful of taking our health and being willing to participate in public discussions, get information, perhaps that increased numbers of people who have been diagnosed can be people who feel the resource that is supported.
Yeah, that's interesting that you would say that, because over the weekend there was the Cancer Society had their Brac and Little Cayman Survivors Dinner. And a few months ago it was held in Grand Cayman, and Health City was the sponsor of those. And I just find it delightful that every year people complain, this room is too crowded, there's not enough seats, I don't have enough elbow room. Because there are too many survivors. Yeah. That's a wonderful problem to have. It didn't used to be like that. And so when the Lions Club does their breakfast this Sunday, there will be a lot of people because there are a lot of survivors. And the nice thing is, if you look over time, there are fewer women who are who these days are being diagnosed with stage 4, more women being diagnosed with stage 0 or stage 1, because all of the efforts that everyone in the community, between the Lions Club of the Tropical Gardens, the Breast Cancer Foundation, the Cancer Society, and everybody else, all the efforts that everyone has made through the years has made it so that there really isn't anyone on island, or at least there shouldn't be anyone on island, who doesn't know that mammograms are crucially important for wellness, and that if you can't afford to pay for one yourself or you don't have insurance, there are lots of places where you can get a free voucher and you can qualify for a charity mammogram. There's no reason not to get it. And women, cancer's being caught. Nobody wants anybody to have cancer, but if it's out there, we want to catch it as early as possible so it can get diagnosed and treated and people can go on with their life.
I think that just signifies the importance of early detection. It's not just a tagline. It shows how effective it can be, how crucial it is for people's survival, their quality of life. And that peace of mind in a sense, right?
And most people, I don't know, who might be hearing my voice, they might know that I'm now Jennifer of Health City, but I used to be Jennifer of the Cancer Society, and I was there for about 11 years. And it happened all the time at the Cancer Society that people would come in and they would say, oh, my friend or my sister or my mother, somebody close to me got diagnosed with cancer, so I need the test. And we would say, the test? What test? The test for cancer. There isn't one test for cancer. I think people feel like their doctor can look at them and like stare through them with x-ray vision and figure out if they have cancer, or maybe if they had a blood test, that little lowercase letter C's would float out of their blood and they would know that they had cancer somewhere in their body, but it's not like that. Cancer is pretty sneaky. Another thing is people tend to say, oh, I feel good, so I couldn't possibly have cancer. But none of those things are true. And so people get nervous and they start feeling like, well, there are all these tests that I can do. We don't need to be nervous. We need to be mindful, like you said, and we need to be aware that there are lots of things we can do to keep ourselves healthy and things that we can do to check to make sure that we don't have cancer. If you're a woman, it's a mammogram, age 40 and over. If you are a woman, you can get a pap test. And nobody likes to talk about that either. That's a test that your GP or your gynecologist can do. And, women lay down, you stare at the ceiling, you wish it was over, and they take a sample from your uterus and send it to a lab to see if there are any dangerous cells that could turn into cancer. So pap tests are a great way for early detection because they can actually find on a cellular level when things are turning to cancer and take care of it. With men, they can do PSA tests. Those are blood tests. And then that's really it. Then after that, you talk to your doctor, and if your doctor says, you know what, you have fair skin, or you have a lot of moles, or you seem predisposed to skin cancer, I want you to get a skin cancer check every year, every other year, whatever it is. Then you get that. And if your doctor says, oh, your father had colon cancer, and your uncle had colon cancer, I want to make sure that you get a colonoscopy. Those tests come when your doctor says that you need to have them, and at particular age groups. Just because your friend got a lung cancer screening doesn't mean that you need a lung cancer screening. If you're over 50 and you smoke two packs of cigarettes today or every day, and your doctor says you should get a lung cancer screening, that test makes sense for you. It may not make sense for your friend.
Right. And as you share, this reminds me of how public education is so crucial. Accurate, timely information in a setting that is responsible, respectful. I was doing some reading earlier, and this is the 21st century. We have all sorts of nonsense out there. We have all sorts of people in position that say absolutely nothing and act as if they're the be-all and end-all. And yet, in some parts of the world, or in some communities in the so-called developed world, they don't have access to this. They are not being given this information. And we may look at the developing world, African nations, or some other parts of the world, and think, and take for granted that they don't have the education, they're not given the level of awareness, they don't have the access, they don't have the resources. And here we have it here, many times at no cost to us, because it's been generously provided by some other entity, a service club, a physician, a very civic-minded community member. And it would be good, I think, that we take this month as we celebrate the elderly, take this month as we look at breast cancer and other awareness, and make it useful so that our lives, the quality of our lives, the contributions that we make, the examples that we set, have purpose, that they help encourage others. And again, if I might, let's just say, appeal to the men on Thursday evening, come along. Don't just sit in the car, don't just drive them, come and for an hour and a half, sit with the daughter, with your sister, with your mother, with with whomever that lady is, your aunt, your grandmother, and be there. Doesn't matter if you're a young driver or if you're in your 50s and 60s and older.
Great idea.
Sit with them and be supportive. It's weird how we take so much for granted.
Yeah, in the Caribbean, cervical cancer is the number 2 cancer killer. And it's not because cervical cancer is more prevalent other places. It's that women don't have regular access to pap tests. In Cayman, there's no excuse for that. The Cancer Society provides free charity vouchers for pap tests, so women can get the basic screenings that they need, the mammogram and the pap test. It's hard for me not to point when I do these tests. When I talk,
I can imagine
the mammogram and the pap test.
You're one of those illustrative talkers, right?
Yeah, I used to always tell women at the Cancer Society that it's an easy way to remember is you have 2 breasts. That's an even number. So on even numbered years, remember to get your mammogram. And you have one hoo-ha downstairs, and then it's odd number. And so on odd number years, remember to use your wellness benefit to get your pap test. You don't have to follow those those guidelines, but it just makes it easy to remember, to alternate.
We use mnemonics to help us remember certain things. But I'm glad you referenced the Caribbean, because I think many of us in Cayman, especially if this is where we've lived primarily, for those who've come from other jurisdictions, again, just within the Caribbean, you just shared, there are other Caribbean islands that have other resources, better resources, but many of their citizens don't access the health care, don't have as easy of a time accessing it, even when it's available, that we do here.
And one more thing, just to take it one step back, like we know we're talking about early detection through these cancer screening programs that are available in our community. But also in our community for the last 12 or 15 years, maybe 15 years now, a free vaccine for cancer prevention called the HPV vaccine is available at Public Health. Anyone can take their child there as long as they're over the age of 11. So that's year 7, 11 turning 12. You can go and get that free. That is a cancer preventing vaccine. Prevents cervical cancer and head, neck, and throat cancer. And by those vaccines being provided, that means that someone won't have HPV. It won't settle in their cervix.
Some of the, because many of the HPVs, right? It's not all of them.
Right, all the different strains. Lots of different, six or eight different strains.
That's,
so actually, there's, so it's a vaccine called Gardasil, and now it protects from 9 strains, which actually means that it's good for boys and girls, because it protects from other things that happen to boys as well in their future. But within a couple of generations, people in Cayman can possibly say things like cervical cancer. Yeah, we don't have that. I don't know why. My grandma used to talk about that.
Well, as we invite you back for future discussions, but as we close out today's discussion, any reminders, and certainly if you would, the $150 US almost gifting.
Yeah, it is. It's a great offer from Health City. We are providing an offer right now. It's only good through October. So if you're listening, ladies, make sure you grab a pen so that you can write this telephone number down. You have to go ahead and book this right away for the month of October. The telephone number to call is 525-8871. I'll repeat that, 525-8871. Or if you're an email person, you can email breastclinic, all one word, at healthcity, all one word, .ky. And it's a great deal. You prioritize yourself, get your mammogram. It only takes a few minutes. This deal is $150 US. And this is for somebody who isn't using their insurance. Maybe they've already used their insurance benefits to pay for other things this year. This is for somebody who might not qualify for a charity voucher, but can pay something. So you pay $150 US. You get the top of the line 3D tomosynthesis mammogram, which is viewed by 2 radiologists, by the way, and I'm not talking about 2 radiologists in the same room pointing at the same one, coming to a generalized conclusion. It's 2 radiologists in 2 separate places independently looking at this. So you're actually getting a second opinion on every single, even your screening mammograms at Health City, which I think is great. And so you'll get your results. If the doctor says, you know what, there's just something I wanted to talk to the patient about, or maybe we saw a little something, or we're recommending whatever, then the consultation is also included. So $150 USD, pay cash out of pocket at Health City. You can get your mammogram and then maybe go in for lunch afterwards. We've got a nice cafe.
Yeah, the cookies in there are nice.
The cookies are good. They call me Curry Jenny. I'm a big fan of the Indian buffet every day. The food out there is great. So, but that's
another story. Yeah, we know a few people who've made a drive and it's the first hospital I know we actually go get food, huh?
Yeah, we work on Saturday at Health City, and so when I first started working on Saturdays, I would go in there at lunchtime, and I would be surprised to see people wearing like clothes that you would wear to jog or to exercise or to bike ride. And I went, oh, you're here? Is everything okay? Oh yeah, we come down here every week. We ride our bikes down here, and then we have lunch, and then we ride back.
Yep.
So we're happy that people are coming to see us. But
well, you know what? I'm glad that we are continually investing in our healthcare across the country. Thank you, and to all the wonderful physicians and team over at Health City. It's going to be great as we start to complement each other and raise that competitive bar. Ms. Jen, always a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Look forward to having you back on whenever you can again. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to pause and we're going to go to the news. But when we return, we'll have a different discussion in partnership with DCFS. We're going to be talking about building an age-friendly society. And interested to know what's going to be shared. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman advises that due to staffing shortages, there may be a delay with in-person services and the office will close at 2 p.m. today, Monday, October 24th. Work encourages persons and companies to submit payments via the Jobs Cayman standalone payment portal. In international news, Rishi Sunak will be the UK's next Prime Minister after winning the Conservative Party leadership contest. In a brief statement, he warns the country faces profound economic challenges. Sunak will become the UK's first British Asian PM and at 42, the youngest leader in more than 2 centuries. Immediately after being selected by Tory MPs, he ruled out an early general election and warned his party that they had to unite or die. A Michigan teenager accused of killing 4 students and injuring 7 others in a high school shooting rampage has pleaded guilty to the charges. 16-year-old Ethan Crumbly is being tried as an adult and is facing charges of terrorism and first-degree murder. He was 15 when he opened fire at Oxford High School in November 2021. The gunman faces a possible life sentence without parole. On Monday, Crumbly pleaded guilty in a Michigan court to 24 charges, including 1 count of terrorism, 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of assault with intent to murder, and 12 counts of possession of a firearm. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. As with many of the men of his generation, he went to sea at the tender age of 15 and worked for Mr. Southwell and National Bulk Carriers for some 30 plus years. During this time, he rose from being an oiler pumpman to the post of second engineer after completing correspondence engineer courses from a school in New York. He sailed on many ships, including the Universe Leader, Universe Defender, or Titan, or Venus, or Meteor, or Transport. After his tenure at National Bulk Carriers, he was one of the few Brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. After a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we invite you to look not just within ourselves, but within our communities and ask, what is it that we're doing to make it better? How can we ensure that we show the requisite deference not only to our children but to our elderly. And I'm glad that we can talk about moving towards an age-friendly society, and with a great respect to our wonderful guest, perhaps. Miss Law, we start with you first. Miss Kellerman, good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. And thank you for having us on the show again today. As you know, this month we've been celebrating Older Persons Month, and our theme is moving towards age-friendly communities. The theme recognizes that we're doing some work already in that regard, but that we do have some ways to go. And so today on the show, of course, I am representing Department of Children and Family Services. I'm Social Work Manager for Community Development, but we also have with us in here in the studio is Troy Worms, who is the Acting Director of Public Works, Colin Lumsden, who is the town your title?
Revitalization Initiative Coordinator in Georgetown.
I thought it was city manager for the city.
I was about to say that, city manager, but yeah. So Colin is revitalization manager coordinator for Georgetown. And as you know, there are quite a bit of things that are going on, and we can see things happening in Georgetown. And Miss Debbie Webb-Sibley's, who is a senior policy advisor. Strategic advisor in the Ministry of Innovation, Investment and Social Development. And Miss Debbie has worked very long and hard on the older persons policy, and anything to do with older persons is really near and dear to her heart. But she will also bring some light towards the topic that we are speaking on today.
And I think as our listeners sort of join in and recognize, who we've assembled on a panel, individually we bring much to the table. Collectively, we offer great value. And through you, as we talk about an age-friendly society and we show deference to our elderly, perhaps I could ask, as I was just doing some reading earlier, in a review of urban planning, I went back to the early 90s in the U.S. when they had the American with Disabilities Act in terms of accessibility. I look at architectural sort of renderings that ask, how can we make this space much more usable simply by making halls a little wider, making access to the bathrooms through the doorways, for instance. Little things that seem to make sense that may increase the square footage, may increase the building cost. But in that vein, to think of it from the perspective that as a 15-year-old or a 25-year-old, when you're not thinking about what you'll be like when you're an 85-year-old, if you think of an age-friendly society when you're in your formative years, then that becomes the norm when you're 90 and 100 years old and you're doing Tai Chi on the waterfront, for argument's sake. Could that be something that we sort of wield in if it's appropriate? But before we get there, Ms. Debbie, as Ms. Kellerman shared, you are sort of, for many of us, that pilot, that architect, that driver for looking at our elderly, at policies that impact their lives, at how we should be more resourceful, more respectful towards an age-friendly community.
Thank you for having me. Just in looking at the vision for the policy, it promotes advancing the well-being of older persons representing 65 years and older in our society. One of the goals for this policy speaks to older persons having easier access to buildings, transportation, for example. And since we are talking about promoting age-friendly societies, here are some of the areas that we should really be focusing on. And I know that as my colleagues who are here will be speaking to some of the things that their respective entities are addressing. For example, when we're looking at outdoor spaces and buildings, we want to ensure that the environment is clean and the issue of noise level is addressed. We need to ensure that there are green spaces and walkways for older persons, including adequate shelter, toilet facilities and seatings that can be easily accessible by older persons. And something as simple as the pavement on the road or on the walkway, that we should pay attention to that being well maintained, smooth, and not provide any possible hazard to older persons when they're walking or even in their wheelchairs on pavements. And the same for roads. We should have sufficient pedestrian crossings available to older persons, and also have a limit, because the pace at which a younger person will walk across on a pedestrian crossing is different from that of an older person. And to make sure that all services are custom friendly when it comes to older persons. Also looking at even our buildings. How easy do we make it for older persons to access our buildings? That is part of age-friendly societies. Then there's the issue of public transportation. Not only can they have access, but can they afford it? And therefore, we need to promote age-friendly public vehicles. Having public buses that the floors can lower, low steps, wide and high seats to accommodate older persons who may also be in wheelchairs or have other different type of walking devices to assist them in getting about. And we also need to think about persons with disabilities as well when we make reference to age-friendly societies for older persons. I just think that's important for me to put in there.
Yes, ma'am.
And the information that we provide to older persons, they should be able to understand it, read it, and see it. And that makes reference to any signs that we have located anywhere, whether it's in supermarkets, on the street, or even in public buildings, that we need to make sure that older persons can participate in whatever activities that they can in these facilities, and to ensure that they feel valued, respected, and are supported in whatever they can do to continue to be active members of our society.
Colin, as I listened to Ms. Debbie share, you're a trained architect. Earlier I was just referencing things that may seem simple to some of us, but for others, just think about it. You have a doorway into your bathroom. Is it just a little wider in case there's a temporary injury and you got to have a wheelchair, your shower? But she was also talking about, mobility and accessibility. The notion that a pavement, for instance, is it uneven? Is it maintained? Even the material surface, but also the coloring that could trigger in someone's mind who may have, a visual impediment. Is this a step?
Yeah, I think Miss Debbie touched on a lot of the topical issues surrounding the aging community. It's such a holistic topic. I think one of the places that I start, there's some physical impediments that has to be corrected, and there's policies that have to be put in place physically that you would see, but it's also perceptions, I think, that need to be corrected. I think more than often time, the aging community is discriminated against. They're discriminated against sometimes for whatever reason. I think from a GTR perspective, we've always had this term called diversity and inclusiveness, and that goes towards age. Having activities that are very sensitive towards everyone. Type of music, how loud it is, the environment, having activities that would foster interactions with other people, older people, I should say. And also, Ms. Debbie touched on transportation, which is also, the bigger word for transportation is mobility, which is a bigger term, just having the ability to move around. I think for us, we attempted some of that with our shuttle service, and we found a lot of older persons were riding that shuttle service, almost quote unquote joyriding, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, having nowhere to go but just somewhere to go. I think those opportunities need to present itself, and along those joyride, having stop areas, parks. And when I was talking earlier to the director of public works about parks, I think we have this kind of like we have this one trick pony with parks. Like, parks are only for playing basketball and hanging out, but the word parks, which another word we use is public open green space, which is a better term. Like, we want spaces that are used in a way that people could feel comfortable. They feel protected. It's well lit. It's secure. And these public open green space, we want to have them in areas of Georgetown too. We don't have to have a building on every lot and a car on every street. I think we have to be careful when we're developing, not to overdevelop so much that we forget the human space. And those spaces need to be protected, and they need to be articulated and designed in a way that they accommodate everyone. And I think for us as a ministry, I think it's something that we think everyone should be a part of. This is not something that's going to be fixed by policy and design only. It's a cultural change for us to be very sensitive towards some of the people that have helped to build this place and educate us over the past few decades. And I think just wrapping up, I think those things, looking at it from that holistic sense, those intangibles, and like Ms. Debbie saying, even the type of transportation that you used. I mean, I hate to say it, but currently the transportation aren't very sensitive towards, people that are less mobile. And I think those are areas that we could probably improve on in the next few years. And having access to those things, I think, is good. Having a prescribed bus route that's easily discernible and understood. And Miss Debbie, she did a lot in her few words that she said. The fare, the paying basis. Is it an automatic pay system? Is it just a card that they will use? I think those things are very important because you want to encourage participation from that level. So,
Well, Ms. Debbie?
No, I just want to add that I'm the ministry's representative for the Older Persons Council, and that council was legislated to be that advocate and that watchdog for the implementation of the older persons policy. When we think about the older persons policy, there are many different goals with many different objectives and strategies and action plans. And the role for the council is to identify with the different ministries and even within the private sector what steps are being taken to address the identified action plans. And I know that within the council, we are also trying to look at promoting an age-friendly society in Cayman. So there are many different levels of collaboration to address this issue of age-friendliness in the Cayman Islands. I just thought I needed to say that.
Thank you. And I wrote down the word ethos because I think many times that's missing. So, Mr. Worms, not just in your personal capacity, but officially as acting director of public works. Again, as Colin shared, we go back to Ms. Debbie's sort of very almost all-encompassing stuff with green spaces. Something that for many of us we love. We would love to be able to have greater parks, not just for the bench for the elderly to sit and enjoy an afternoon chat, not just for the parent who's pushing the stroller and they want to be able to navigate the sidewalks much more safely. But there's a competing issue with the work of what you do in your department, from the roads to the infrastructure to all these things. Tall order sometimes seems to have competing interests.
Well, looking at the competing interests, one competing interest we actually don't have is roads, because that's actually the National Roads Authority. But outside of
Strike
roads,
that one off, huh?
we still collaborate with them and work with them, and obviously partner in many things.
You read my mind, huh?
And at the end of the day, back to the Park government, what they're looking for, and part of their slogans is community creates country, and parks are part of the community. Our older persons are part of the community. Making sure that our green spaces are friendly and accessible, and being accommodating of all persons' needs. So not just the young, not just the old, not just the sports persons, just kind of making sure that no matter who is going to our green spaces or public facilities, they can actually get there. When they get there, they can actually use the facilities, on their own. That's where the building codes come in. Making sure that at the very minimal standard, people can use and access the spaces.
Right.
But keeping in mind that, the building codes are that basic bar. Back to what you were saying, can you make it a little bit wider?
Yeah.
The code really sets out our minimum standard.
Yeah.
So we can add on to that, right? It just comes down to what makes the most sense practically, financially, all the different dynamics, all the different limitations.
And then you have the setbacks to consider. So the building now is a little bit wider because your doorways or your hallways, and all of a sudden, are you encroaching setbacks? Is that an easement that you or variance that you're asking for? Is that a legislative change? Is that additional footprint? Creating the benefit despite the financial cost. So, Ms. Deb, all these things we take into account, but sometimes we don't see the collective cost or the collective benefit because maybe we're not seeing the holistic approach, the shared ethos.
Well, having that shared holistic approach is really the way to go, because the government can't take on responsibility for everything when it comes to fulfilling the vision for older persons. It has to be a collective approach where the government, private sector, civic society, where we all come together and look at how best can we achieve that vision. One of the things that we all have to be very mindful of and appreciative of is that for those of us who will be blessed to reach age 65 and live to 100 or more,
Amen.
That in itself is a blessing. And even more so, those persons should be respected. Because we always hear this and we always keep saying it, that once you have reached the age of 65, you have given a lot in regards to the development of your country. That includes the values, the value system, maintaining it, as well as looking at the overall development, the social fabric of our society, the education of our society. So we need to not just focus on one particular area, but look at everything from that holistic perspective. They gave what is our responsibility and our accountability, and how can we hold each other accountable as a society to ensure that we value older persons and the aging process in our society. It's a process.
And this is kind of why I was looking at Colin as you share your comment. If we who are on this side of 60, 65 or 100 make that part of who we are and in our approach, our deference, our expectations, so that when we are 100 or 120, it becomes the norm. It is your society. There are a few societies left where that elderly person is revered because of their knowledge.
It's so funny you're picking words out of my mouth now.
I was looking at your notes, man. Thank you for sharing with them.
Well, it's a good thing. Are you picking them from my mind? I think from a physical standpoint or physical representation, I mean, these spaces that I talk about in previous conversations on the radio and such, what we look at in these parks is another thing too. It's called the transfer of knowledge. I remember being in Barbados in 2018 on some research for a particular project, and I went to one of the functions downtown, and I saw something I never really saw or haven't seen in a long time, which was an activity or a public activity where every age group was represented, and they stuck together all day. The older people were there playing games. The younger people were doing other things, and I was just like, wow. And I saw older people talking to younger people, and I just said to myself, wow, look at that transfer of knowledge. That older person must be imparting some knowledge on that person. We have to create these scenarios for ourselves where our older people can connect with our younger generation, not just from family reunions and other things, but from a pure community standpoint where people are interacting and exchanging knowledge and ideas. We need to make these spaces better, and we need to have programs in place so these things can happen quite often.
You know, and as I listen to you, let me just share a quick comment as you go into the break from one of our listeners. You know, said, you know, it's good that we're doing all this, but is it talk? Is there more to it? You know, where are the public restrooms, fountains, showers, the accessibility mats at the different beaches, Governor's Beach, spots, South Sound, Dock, not just for the older men and women and disabled, but really for all of us. As I look at other comments, I think this one captures it. What are we doing? How can we do it? And is it something that we're looking only for them, whether them is government or them is something else? Or are we looking, hey, is this something that we're doing? How do we respond to that listeners' sort of sentiments?
I guess maybe I'll take a start at it.
Okay, thanks.
So it's not just one person to solve the problem. It's not just the government or public works or ministry or children and family services or, you know, the disability council. It's all of us. It's the entire community, the entire country. So the question is, how does the good information and the things that people are seeing in their everyday lives make its way to the people that need to solve the problems? And that gets a little bit, I guess, that message gets lost sometimes because people, they have different avenues of where they report stuff. And one thing that I could say that the Public Works Department is working on is that even though we're not responsible for all government properties, a lot of times people don't know where to report things that they see. So on our new government website that we're launching in about 2 months, there'll be a link on that website that even if it's not our responsibility to take care of it, it's somewhere you can report an issue of a government property and not, or even a recommendation, because I feel that the persons that are closest to the problems know how to solve them. So lean on country experience, country knowledge, and be able to bring that in so that even if it's not, if it's a education problem from a building related standpoint and you report it to Public Works, we'll take that on, reach out to the education department and say, hey, this is what's been reported. We're here as your partner to help solve that problem. And I think if we take more of an approach like that in many things, it's not just one group that's responsible for fixing it. We're all kind of leaning on each other and being able to, you know, bridge that gap wherever it is and solve that problem together and not just hear something now.
Yeah, collective ownership, collective responsibility, right? Not just in cabinet, but in country. Whoa, political slogan there.
Well, I think it's also to add to what Troy was saying, that even within communities, that age friendliness can be promoted.
Yes, sir.
Community members can come together once they have identified what the need may be or needs and start advocating and even put in some strategies in place, as Troy indicated, to address those concerns. In other words, buying in and owning whatever support that they identified in need and want to maintain for their communities, for the older persons in their communities. So the age-friendly society approach starts from within neighborhoods and communities.
Yeah. So after the break, let's talk more. If you're, you know, amenable, maybe there are things we could share with our community that we can do. Take up on, you know, Mr. Worm's comment in relation to the notion that perhaps when we look at our parks, are they clean? You know, despite the fact that there was, you know, the Parks and Recreation Division that came out and just cleaned it, but we used it, did we leave it clean? And how would that affect the quality of life? We're walking along the road, and yes, we may be able to safely move over that little, you know, tree branch, that little impediment, but is that something we can do to bring it to the attention of right people? Are there other things that are even more significant? Perhaps when we return from the break, we can talk more, and then through DCFS, perhaps invite the conversation as well. To listeners, stay tuned, and please rejoin us after the break.
a caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza, open Monday to Friday 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Christmas is coming.
What? The holidays is around the corner, and we know you've got a home project you've been trying to finish, but just don't have the time. Maybe it's a new paint job, rebuilding that patio, interior or exterior finishes. Take the stress away and call Triple R General Construction to get the job done the right way. Triple R General Construction Services includes build-to-suit, renovations, architectural assistance, subcontracting, and general construction for big or small, commercial and residential buildings. For quality, consistency, and projects done on time, call Scotty at Triple R General Construction at 929-1827. That's 929-1827. Or email at constructiontripler@gmail.com and get your home ready for the holidays.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to be a part of a discussion, just to make sure that we're going out, I mean, government spends a lot of money to invest to ensure that the public has unfettered access to their views. So we're happy to be able to facilitate through this discussion as we talk about what is the theme for the month of the elderly, about moving towards an age-friendly society. From DCFS, we have Ms. Laura Kellerman, we have the acting public works manager, right? A public acting manager. Is that how it goes, Mr. Worms?
It's acting director.
Acting director. And then could I say the city manager for Georgetown, Mr. Colin Amazon? Would that be the me and Miss Lloyd, we giving that title. Is that okay, Miss?
Yeah.
And I only say that because we have the youthful, enthusiastic, energetic Miss Deborah Webb Sibley's and I think if you would allow us to share, as we talk about aging and the blessing it is to be 100 and to be 120, Miss Cassandra over at DCFS reminded me of, the active age, the different sort of levels, as it were, or titles that we ascribe. Just to be alive is to be a blessing. To be able to contribute and benefit from the society is a blessing. I would like us to have that deference for all of us, but especially for elderly. So, Miss Debbie, what is it that we're not doing that could make a difference if we did it?
From my experience, we are losing sight of the reverence we had for older persons in our families, in our communities. The level of respect that I was taught to have for my grandparents, and anyone who was 10 years older than me was my senior, so to speak, and I had to address them accordingly. A lot of that is changing in our interaction with older persons. The quality time that is needed is really not there. The level of intergenerational activities and support is very limited. As you mentioned earlier, it has to be more than just a family reunion or Christmas Day, or even in some cases, the birthdays. It needs to be a daily, ongoing interaction. Because older persons still have a lot to give. And even from a historical perspective, they have and they can continue to give us that picture of what Cayman was like, so that we can have a better appreciation for their level of contribution to the Cayman we have today. So it's each of us looking at how are we need to personalize it. How are we treating and responding older persons in our society, in our communities, and in our family setting, or even in our neighborhoods?
Troy, if I may ask you, and certainly I want to certainly always invite Ms. Kellerman to be a part of it, but we look at our physical environment and we point fingers oftentimes at government agencies. Why they don't do something about that? But you shared earlier, if we, as the public, the motoring public, the cycling public, the pedestrians, the beachgoers, just out and about, even moving from building to building through public spaces, if we don't serve as the eyes and ears and bring things to the likes of the respective government agencies, how do we expect the things to get attended? So two things. One, how do we do that? Should we do that? And if so, how do we do that? But what else could we be doing? We talked earlier about collective ownership, being a part of this thing, because we are affected by it, but we also are affecting these things.
I guess how we do it is, it depends on what area you're talking about, right?
Okay.
Because you can be talking about from that older person, you can be talking about from better utilizing spaces. There's a lot of agencies in government, a lot of companies, a lot of different dynamics. So it really comes back down to what is that target audience. So at the end of the day, on our government website, at least, if there's a particular topic that you have interest on, going back to that gov.ky is probably the best starting point. Searching in for what that key issue is and being able to target into what is the best department to really reach out to is probably that best way of reaching out without having, a one-stop government hotline to be able to take care of all things. But that space, that's where technology has gone. A lot of things have come online, different bots and stuff like that are being implemented and adopted. So I think that's kind of the way we're going as, from technology as a government, to be able to share that knowledge and transfer that knowledge and being able to just know who to reach out to. That would be the starting point in getting to know your government better, to be honest.
I just want to jump in because Troy and I share the same ministry. And in PAI, planning, agriculture, housing, and infrastructure, I think one of the biggest thing in addressing the aging community is housing also. I personally feel like, there needs to be a sensitive design element when it comes to housing for older people. It shouldn't be a situation where a person moves from one housing and goes straight to the retirement home. I think we need to have communities that are more equipped with probably health facilities, and not as how, say, the Pines is set up, but something that's set up like a community where people can respond to the older persons a lot quicker. There's community activities and all that. I think those things need to be looked at when we're thinking about housing, not just housing for a new family,
right,
but housing for people that are, say, and this is a hard one for me to say per se, but it's, we have a society that we retire, I would say, relatively young. My parents are, I don't think my mom is 70 yet. She's been home like 4 or 5 years. And we have other people that retire in Cayman. So there we have a, we have a community that's experienced. So I think our communities or housing need to reflect that, not just nice hip apartment pad everywhere.
Right.
Like these urban flats and all these nice apartments. Our communities need to reflect that also.
Not just assisted living, as you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I can ask then through you, because this is where I think the quote unquote, general sort of public policy discussions could emanate. Let's take maybe it's the planning legislation for argument's sake. You have a plot of land and you built your family home. Is it possible that the density, the allowable building space would say there's another independent space there where your aging in-laws, parents, whatever, could occupy?
Yeah, ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
Right,
yeah.
without it having to...
A lot of societies are... Canada just approved those things.
Yeah.
So you could turn your garage or housing in the back for into a dwelling unit. Those are things that we need to look at.
So that would be called like aging in place, where you have the ability to age in your familiar surroundings.
Right. Miss Kelly?
I was just going to say, though, that a lot of this also takes advanced planning, right? So we need to really start planning for older years early on, and it needs to be a family thing. So it can be my parents I'm working on my life, and my parents are there, and they have to figure out what's going to happen with them early on. It's a conversation I should be able to have with them, right? And I should be able to say, okay, so get a little older, you're going to retire. What is it you're going to do? How can we start? Maybe we need to adjust the house that we have now. Unfortunately, some of the things that we have happening in our society is that the children, grandchildren even, still living at home with their older relatives, and making it uncomfortable for them to live in their own homes.
Right.
So we need to get back to what Ms. Debbie was saying, that love and that care for each other. So as an older person, I shouldn't be living in my home, and I have younger relatives living in there, and then I am sort of
relegated to the back burner.
Exactly, to one little piece of square footage in the house. So we need to move away from that. We need to recognize that, as we've said before, I think that it takes all of us, but we need to look at the different areas that we could be making a difference, that we don't have to wait on policies, we don't have to wait on laws, we don't have to wait on government. It's just the right thing to do.
But I hear you, but I'm also reflecting on what Mr. Lumsden shared, and I think back to, now I start to feel like I've getting that level of wisdom. 30 years plus, where some friends move from what they call the mainland in the U.S. to Hawaii to be near one of the spouse's parents, bought a plot of land and built, my words so that I understand the conversation, what would be, in my familiar language, akin to a duplex, only to discover in that particular area that was not allowed. Not a big space, from what I'm told. I never visited, never saw it. The objective was to have this independent space for the aging in-laws have them, the children and the grandchildren all being one. And just as we were talking about this in the Cayman context today, here is supposed an advanced society that had a similar issue with not being able to allow their legislation for housing to provide the requisite density. And it's not a topic that is alien to us, but it's a topic that seems to be ignored, Colin, in many respects.
I don't have the numbers per se. I only said what I said because I think of it like there's a lot of empty nesting going on. I think we went through the 80s and 90s mansion era when people build the biggest house they can with the most roof and high pitch. And I think we're a little bit more humble now. Lots of people, the small housing movement. So I only said what I said because there may be instances where an older person doesn't need the space anymore. What do they do? Do they sell this house and go somewhere else? I don't know. There may be a scenario where they're not being assisted properly, having the right support resources per se. But whatever it is, I just think from a housing standpoint, which is not an easy thing, we have to have the accommodation at least to give these things as option. I know my parents, like, they look around and like, okay, this is 3,600 square foot. What am I going to do with this? I have to pay to have this house clean. The yard has to be clean. Do I need this much yard anymore at 7 years old? I can't push a lawnmower anymore.
Or don't want to.
Yeah, and don't want to. Yeah. And like you said, you talked about, having a density issue. I think you're kind of thinking what I was thinking, having homes that are smaller, closer together, shared sidewalk, shared community halls that has programs. Even like a nursing assistant in that community that would check on people. I think, it's just the architect and planner in me. Like down the line, I think these are the homes that are gonna be required to facilitate our aging community, because just having that existing situation where people have to live in larger houses with very little support, I think as we go on, I think those options will be explored.
So from that perspective then, we were talking about moving towards an age-friendly society, and this is not something that is going to happen tomorrow. Hopefully it'll occur within our generation, and it'll be not just a holistic but a concerted effort over time to bring about this new ethos. But where do we start? I'll be mindful knowing that my nature jokes sometimes don't always fall the way, but with great respect to probably one of the biggest environmental champions we had way back when, Miss Consuelo, who said perhaps the best thing we could do for some places, which we referenced, was to bum it and build it over. We can't do that, right? Or can we? Can we, look at what we have and tear down to put more green spaces, redevelop to ensure that what we are doing creates accessibility, creates respect, increases mobility, and the like.
I think I'm sorry, just to respond real quick. I think some repurposing is necessary. And in the urban area, we have these things called urban infill, where spaces that are voided that could be filled with things. And right now with the planning law, we're looking at encouraging mixed use, so having things like laundromats and other things closer to housing, having more housing options. Housing that people don't have to worry about cleaning yards or accessing the grocery store, because the grocery store is right across the road. I think those are the things that we need to do in our planning. It starts with our planning law with some of these things.
But we had that before, Colin, in our communities. I mean,
we used to have it.
You lived here and everything was right there. And you walked, you rode your bicycle if you were lucky. And now, anyway, I'll be mindful. Some accuse me of being political. That's tomorrow.
I think one of the things that we need to be mindful of, it's predicted from a global perspective that by the year 2030, that's like 7 years from now.
7 years, 2 months, 4 days, and 40 seconds. I don't know.
The number of older persons will triple throughout the world. When we look at our last census, we need to be very mindful of the fact how many of us in the next 7 years will be 65 years and older. You asked the question. I just thought I would share that for people to think about it.
Yes, well.
Looking at what can we do now, some of the features and things that we can put in place instead of having to reinvent the wheel. When we're talking about buildings, is asking, the question being asked, is there sufficient elevators in our existing building to accommodate older persons? Because not all older persons can use the staircase. Do we have wheelchair ramps in our buildings? Do we have railings on stairs to give that extra support? Are we using non-slip flooring for our buildings? Within our buildings and our businesses, do we provide rest areas with comfortable chairs for older persons when they come into our entity to do business? Do we provide special lines or queues for older persons when they're doing banking, when they are in a supermarket or any type of facility or business where we have older persons still seeking services or being that customer? Right. So it's the businesses looking at how can we now start making some changes to make our establishment more age-friendly.
Right. We got a final break to take, and hopefully this will be one of many continuing discussions. But when we come back, perhaps invite you for some salient points as we close out the discussion. All right, please stay tuned for Talk Today.
And the whole island is one big party.
Little Cayman, the 2022 Pirates Fest season starts with you November 4th through the 6th with the official kickoff at McCoy's Sunset Bar Friday the 4th, followed by the float parade 3 p.m. on the 5th starting from Southern Cross, costume competition, fireworks show, and don't forget about the Pirates Party at the Hungry Iguana. You know them pirates like a little party, Little Cayman style. Little Cayman Pirates Fest, November 4th through the 6th.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
Christmas is coming.
What? The holidays is around the corner, and we know you've got a home project you've been trying to finish, but just don't have the time. Maybe it's a new paint job, rebuilding that patio, interior or exterior finishes. Take the stress away and call Triple R General Construction to get the job done the right way. Triple R General Construction Services includes build-to-suit, renovations, architectural assistance, subcontracting, and general construction for big or small, commercial and residential buildings. For quality, consistency, and projects done on time, call Scotty at Triple R General Construction at 929-1827. That's 929-1827. Or email at constructiontripler@gmail.com and get your home ready for the holidays.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And thanks to Miss Deborah Webster, Mr. Colin Lumsden, Sir Troy Worms, and Miss Lloyd Kellerman. This is a discussion that I don't think we'll have in one afternoon, in 1 hour, on one day, in 1 week, even in 1 year. And hopefully this is that collective ethos that we have as we look at moving towards an age-friendly society, as we start to appreciate the importance of our individual efforts and the collective impact on what the public policy is. But as Ms. Debbie shared, the private sector initiative, as the person comes into your business establishment, are they welcome and ready? Are they accommodated? What are we doing in our homes? How do we make our legislation so that it's not punitive, but it's helpful? It's not a cost factor. This is something that is so crucial. Ms. Loy, I recognize that we got, 53 seconds.
So there are some businesses that are doing something. So, for example, just so I can highlight one or two that I do know about. So, for example, First Caribbean, I go into First Caribbean and I watch with interest as they do the lines, but then an older person comes in. There is some seating area at the side. The security have them sit there, and then as soon as the next teller is free, there is one spot for them, but other people can use that. And as soon as the person who's there leaves, then that older person goes in. And I just thought it was really nice that there is a seating area as well. Hurley's does a senior discount day. I don't know which day it is. I think Wednesday or Thursday.
We'll ask Colin because he'll qualify soon.
I think DL Department of Licensing did some discount on driver's license fees. So there are things that are being done, but there are lots more that we can do. Transportation, I know we talked about transportation and housing. Those are big issues. Like you say, it's not a today topic that we're going to solve everything. But then there are other things. So there that makes us an age-friendly society. We talked a little bit about the inclusion of persons. Sometimes we have older persons say, "Oh, I don't want to go with you because I'm going to slow you down," or and we need to be able to encourage our older persons and say to them, "No, it's okay. That's okay. You can slow us down, but you're coming with us. We're going to this event, or we're going out shopping today, or whatever it is. We're going out for a drive." So we need to really include them in our activities. Earlier you talked about the intergenerational activities. We need to include them. We do have in each of our districts, we do have senior fellowships, and we do have a lot of seniors who come out to those senior fellowships. If there's anybody who's interested, who's not there, just reach out to Department of Children and Family Services. Our community development officers will get you in touch with the senior fellowships. And we do a lot of activities with them. But we need to, as a community, look out for older persons. So again, in the community, I have an older person who lives next door to me. It might just be going over and saying, "Hi, are you okay? Everything all right? You know, what can I do for you today?" Or just saying hi. The other thing is the information and communicating and making sure that when we communicate to older persons, or we need older persons to get certain information, that it's in a format that's easy for them to read. I've seen some documents go out with information, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this takes a long time for me to read this much less. But if we want them to have information that's easy for them, you know, they just need to know step 1, 2, 3. You know, so write it in that kind of way. Telephones. A lot of our older persons have phones, and we have the smartphones, which sometimes is a challenge for those of us who are not so old. But it's a challenge for them. So maybe it's just taking the time to show them how to use their smartphone, and make sure that they get the information that they need. So there are lots of different things we can do as a community, as an individual. Ms. Debbie talked about the respect for older persons. We need to really go back to that part of our lives. And we talk about the older persons policy. We talk about including them in different things. But we also need to get to a point where we no longer have to earmark or talk about older persons and younger persons. That is just part of everyday life. It's what we do. As if we breathe in, it just comes naturally to us. So yes, we need to look at these things now, but we do need to get to the part where it's just natural.
Yeah. Well, I certainly want you to accept the public invitation to come back on, either collectively or individually, either in partnership as.
And we'd be happy to come back on. I'm speaking for everybody here, but there are also other areas, like Ms. Debbie said, the policy touches on education, it touches on health, it touches on lots of other things. So we're happy to have partners, not necessarily just us in government, but other people come in and really moving this conversation forward.
Indeed.
I think finally for me, I guess with the ministry and GTRI, we've always been very sensitive about this topic, and we work very close with the Older Persons Association, and just being able to listen and have the platform for them to feel welcome, with activities. I think we have to do a better job of doing that. I think personally for me, sometimes I go to a party and I am almost discriminating because I look for the older person first, because that's the people I want to talk to. I learn so much from them, and I think we need to create scenarios where we're interacting with them better, especially in a very honest and altruistic way, where we want it we want to seek out those knowledge. For us, creating better environments and urban environments, I think is very important. Having, parks and areas where people feel comfortable, that's accessible, having the proper safety, lighting, talk about pedestrian crossing and sidewalks. There's still much work to be done. This is where we have to cooperate with other agencies and other departments, but I think, we'll get there, but it's something that has to be governed by the policy that Ms. Debbie is preparing, and having the vision and the hard work to continue on these topics. We're not going to get there tomorrow about it, but I think every day chipping away, making things better, making connections, doing things that would encourage and foster these developments, I think is important.
Mr. Worms?
I guess some of my final thoughts would be in respect to just our older persons and persons in our community staying active. How do we do that? Looking at some of the biggest challenges in stopping you from being active is, your health care. Do they have access to health care? Are they being tended properly? Accessibility, can they actually get into the space? Are we looking at our businesses, as places that are friendly to them? Like in government, what we're doing a lot as well, you see at DVDL recently, and some of our other government properties, that just lowering the desk heights to a point that, they can actually sit comfortably and be able to feel like they can look at you eye to eye and not necessarily feel intimidated coming into a space.
Mhm.
It's all of the difference of feeling welcomed. A lot of times, us as Caymanian people, especially our older generations, are quite proud people and don't want to, inconvenience someone or ask for help. So sometimes it requires us to go out of our shell to make sure that they feel invited, included, tended, taken care of, those types of things. But that financial independence is key to them.
Mhm.
So we need to be mindful in our businesses, our fees, how it impacts them. Speaking of the DVD-DL as well, they dropped their fees of, I think it was 50% for our older persons. Can we do more of that in other areas? Not make it feel like a handout, but a benefit to persons who have served us for many years to build this country.
And the private sector, not to pick, but just highlight banking fees, on their accounts. Can those be some concessions there? Not giving out what the government gets in terms of the revenue, but the excessive charges that the banks may charge and levy. I know we're into our news break, but Miss Debbie, always have great deference for you. Your closing thoughts, ma'am.
Just for us to stop and think of the fact that as a society we are or can be judged on how we treat our children and how we treat our older persons. We need to be very mindful of the fact that the quality care and recognition that we give to ensuring that our children, as we should, are safe, they are nurtured and cared for. The same applies to an older person. And we need to be open-minded to embrace that as a fact. It is not someone's fault that they're aging and they're having all the different challenges that comes with aging, because we have to embrace to grow old and in a society is a privilege, and it should be respected.
Well, as we consider repurposing buildings, perhaps I can rephrase something that we heard a famous U.S. president talk about. When we say, ask not what you can do for your elderly, but what your elderly can do for you. But they can give you the benefit of their counsel, their experience, their expertise. They can give you a chance to learn so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that life has taught them. So draw alongside, as Mr. Collins says, and seek them out. Show them the deference that they deserve and benefit. If you're blessed, you'll be able to make all the mistakes not in one day, but in 100 years. All right, let's pause and take that break. When we come back, let's invite our next guest. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. Around 7 a.m. this morning, officers responded to a report of a man found unresponsive outside an address of South Church Street, Georgetown. The 50-year-old man was subsequently pronounced dead. The RCIPS is currently making efforts to contact the family of the deceased and say the matter is under investigation. In international news, images of students wearing so-called anti-cheating hats during college exams have gone viral on social media in the Philippines, sparking amusement. Students at one college were asked to wear headgear that would prevent them from peeking at others' papers. Many responded by creating homemade contraptions out of cardboard, egg boxes, and other recycled materials. Their tutor told the BBC she had been looking for a fun way to ensure integrity and honesty in her classes. It was implemented for recent midterm exams, which were sat by hundreds of students at the college in the third week of October. A Brazilian politician is in custody after throwing grenades at police officers who came to his house in Rio de Janeiro state to arrest him. Roberto Jefferson wounded 2 officers before surrendering on Sunday. A Supreme Court judge earlier ordered his detention for insulting Chief Justice Carmen Lucia. He was already under house arrest for threatening her. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Pirates Fest. A little bit of old, a little bit of new. The evolution of Cayman's Pirates. A little bit of fun for everyone. Grand Cayman festivities from November 10th through the 20th. 10 days, 33 events. From happy hour parties, cardboard boat races, the Trial of the Pirates, float parade, national song competition, pooch parades, races, fireworks. So many fireworks. Pirates Fest is here. 33 events, 10 days, November 10th through the 20th. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
Pirate fire, raging through Church Street, bright and little Cayman.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue policies when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call Michael Webster today at 925-5433 or Denise Brown at 814-7229. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Michael and Denise today at Cayman Insurance Center.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location, ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we have, a few minutes remaining in today's program, the first day of the working week for some of us. For many of us, we've been on shift for 10 days straight. We have the excellent company of Mr. Chester Lee Frederick from the Nicaraguan Cultural Foundation. And whether we look at our census the other day, or whether we just live in our communities and reflect that we have a lot of people from a lot of places, many of whom without any great sort of discourse, we find out we're connected. Oh, your grandfather, yeah. And we have this wonderful interplay to be able to reach out to our friends from Nicaragua to hear of our grandparents for some of us.
Yes.
Ventures way back when. That even have stories about being part of the construction of the Panama Canal, for instance, we're mindful that this is a beautiful place, a speck on the map, but is global in its impact. So, my friend Lee, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Sterling. And thank you also, and Radio Cayman for having me on today, representing the Cultural Foundation, Nicaraguan Cultural Foundation. And as I spoke to, as you just mentioned a while ago, we have so many different nationalities here and from different countries, and in some way or the other, we are linked, together at some point. And as I've said to you, I think was the last time I was here, my roots came from here. I went to Nicaragua in the early 1900s, and that was it for them. They went to make a better living for their family, and they found it there. Mm-hmm. But as I said, it's so amazing. The community that we have here. Mm-hmm. So many different nationalities, and I just mentioned to someone yesterday that Cayman comes in like a little United States, where everybody's trying to get over there to make a better living for their family. And I think that's what we has become over the years. Yeah. So,
and as you referenced that, it's probably challenging for some people to think the 1900s, or to even think, 19-something or another, 70, 1990. But to understand, just like, the practice for some of us, it was our parents, some it was perhaps their parents, that movement, or the man went to the Miskatonic Coast, that tradition, that practice, that interlink between families, but the today that is in Cayman, with all the different people, we get a chance to celebrate with the many different sort of cultural foundations that exist, to share in their foods and their festivities, to understand that through their fellowship and their fun, we can be a family.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
It's not just a song, we are a family.
Yeah, exactly. In so many different ways we can apply that. Well, I'm here today to, remind our public. I think it was a few weeks, or probably about over a month ago, where we were going to celebrate her 201 independence. And, so much happened. So much happened during the course of that time while we were preparing for it. Yeah. And we had to postpone it due to some of the circumstances that arose during that time. So we have actually postponed it until next year. The great celebration that we were going to have, we postponed it until next year. But we will still follow through with the sale, with food, the sale of food. And what we want to do this time, we want the sale of food will be pretty much to help out part of a non-profit organization, which would probably be one of the Cancer Society, and Ms. Jasmine. And in honor of Lolette Miller, I guess you knew her. So that will be part of the funds will be going towards that non-profit organization. And the other part of it will probably be going to help out those families in Nicaragua who went through the Hurricane Ian, it was, I think, that passed through there. So we're still following through with the sale on Saturday, the 29th of October, which is this weekend. So we just wanted to remind the public that we will be there that day, and we will have a lot of food.
I think this is where, when we look at weather systems that pass through the region, the impact that it may have, no matter how the meteorologists classify it, it's affecting people's lives and livelihoods. And here we are, can draw alongside. We enjoy a meal, the proceeds can benefit something here, but also by extension, and family, friends, sometimes the family and friends of our neighbors, just a short catboat ride away almost. Right?
Yes.
It's not that far away. If you're on a good day, you look, you might be able to see it.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that we'll continue that level of community spirit and extend that love and that giving and that sense of appreciation. So is this Saturday?
Yes, this Saturday. It would be at the airport park, as we usually do. And it will be from 11 o'clock in the morning until probably 7, 8 o'clock. We have the permission. I think it's about 11 o'clock the night. Yeah. So we will be there for quite some time. It will pretty much be more of a fun day, a family fun day. So we invite our community to come out and enjoy some of our nice food, which we'll be having out there. I'm going to mention to you a few of the things that we'll be having for in regard to food and drinks. We'll be having some vigorón. That's something well known in the Nicaraguan community. We'll have some frito, some carne asada. rice and beans, fried green plantain. We also will have some of those things, some of those plates we will have with white cheese, which is, just in case people doesn't know in terms of some of the dishes, we will also have mondongo soup. I'm not certain if you're acquainted with that.
I wasn't until some time ago.
Someone told you about that. Okay. Go ahead.
No. I'm here to make notes and to listen.
Yes.
I was only going to say how, but tell us first. My only comment is that whether it's the tostones in Cuba or whether
no, the tostones takes a lot of time to do. Yeah. So we'll just do the regular fried plantain. Yeah. You know, it takes quite a bit to develop that plantain into the tostones, as we call it, which I love to eat tostones.
Yeah, man. And there's so much similarities, and despite whatever it may be called within your part, you know, if you look at the food, you see the strong similarity. There's something about food. And there's something about people who prepare it. And I don't want to come away from the soup because I'll leave it to you to share only if you wish. But
no, I don't think I will give much comment about the mondongo soup. What I will do is just invite the people to come along and taste it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we will have that. We'll also be having some chop suey, coconut bread, cassava cake, cocoa cake, some picos, buñuelos, tres leches, pinolillo, tamarind, and lemonade, and arroz con piña, which means it's a drink, rice drink with
pineapple.
Pineapple. Yeah.
And think about it. Our Indian community celebrating Diwali today, I think, right? Yeah. Saturday you have the favorite Nicaraguan treats. Many of us would probably find ourselves every day engorging on sweets. But if we think of that link and enjoy what we can. So whether we want, what is the means, or whether we want what I think should be the preference, the treats, the sweets.
Yes.
Come in and see how there are very, very striking differences, but how there are so many similarities with foods. Oh, I didn't know you did it this way with this thing. Oh, this is what you use that for. And it creates a connection, it creates conversation, but it creates community as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing like breaking bread with your brother.
Yes, of course, definitely. And food is something that calls your attention. It also draws us together, as you just mentioned. For someone to invite you to their home, or to their whatever it is they may be having, a celebration or whatever, and you get there and you're amazed to see it and to know the dishes that they would have there for. At the time, and you walk away from there like, wow, that was good, and we does it this way. They did it that way,
Something that I miss, and I hope people don't hold it against him, because once I think we associate Chef Remy. We get busy sometimes, so we don't interact. But I fondly recall the times he would allow me to stand, participate in the kitchen with him, and he would share. That teaching, that exchange, took me to what my parents, both, mother and father, say, come in the kitchen, learn. You want to learn. If you need to eat, you need to learn to cook, right? So today, we go into a friend's kitchen, and if they invite you to stir the pot, to maybe wash the vegetables, maybe chop up something, maybe help out. There's a bond, there's a fellowship. Well, Saturday you're allowing that by extension. It's done for you. Come and taste it, understand what it is, sharing it, and who knows, celebrate together.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one of the, that's why we pretty much put a team to the meeting out there, which would pretty much be a family fun day, because let me tell you, we all are busy doing our own thing and at our workplaces and different things. So usually during a family fun day, you would see even one of your home friends who you haven't seen in probably 6-7 months, and you arrive there. What? I haven't seen you in a long time. So it would be a great celebration just to be there, just to have that fellowship amongst yourselves.
I think too, if you allow me, it sort of plays into this month being where we celebrate and showcase our elderly. And earlier reference we made to sort of intergenerational activities, and for many of us, it's our parents and our aunts and uncles and our grandparents who were in the kitchen. We may have gone into the grounds, or we may have gone into the fishing grounds or to the backyard plot, we've come into the kitchen and paint a picture where you're seeing the preparation of the foods. That very young person is not just engaged, but is being educated. Come Saturday, we have the stories, of our older folks. We see the connections not just from the Nicaraguan community, but we'll be mindful that, wait a minute, you know Cayman from this era. You're connected to this person that's connected to this person. And you start to put a face, a name, and a place, and then you develop purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for what you have. Now, he's not here, so he can't defend himself. But Carl, I think we need to make sure that Carl is in attendance. I mean,
he will be there. Carl will be there. There's absolutely no doubt.
A celebrity in the midst. Yes. I mean, the only one.
I think he would probably be here if he was not really busy with his work.
I just know.
But he will actually be there.
He's a good guy, man. He's a good guy.
Yes, he's good. Yeah. One of the things which excites me is the is getting out there, and I have already pretty much ordered some of what is going to be there. Some of my favorite things. So I told him, you make sure that you make enough, because I will probably buy out all of it.
Only if you wish. We all have favorite dishes, from our childhood or from places that we grew up in or visited. Would you want to share what are maybe 2 or 3 your most sort of treasured, your favorite dishes?
I would pretty much say one of my favorite dish is the turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up, part of my childhood eating that the turtle meat, and that is so delicious. And as you were talking about the different style of cooking and things like that, you have different people do it different ways.
Yeah.
So you always would have different taste of that particular meat. Now, growing up and eating the turtle, that turtle had a different taste than what we actually eat today.
Yeah. Not different.
Complete different taste. Yeah, completely. So, and we know the reason for that. Comes.
We don't know how to cook it. Ask it. Let's leave it at that. Oh.
But you're looking forward to that day. So that's Saturday coming up, and that would be 11 o'clock. Starting at 11 o'clock. There's let me just repeat very quickly what we'll be having out there: some vigorón frito, carne asada, rice and beans, fried green plantain with cheese. And we have, as I said, mondongo soup, some chop suey, coconut bread, cassava cake, cocoa cake, picos, buñuelos, tres leches, pinolillo, tamarind drink, lemonade, and arroz con piña.
Yeah, man.
So I think it's going to be an exciting and fantastic day. And, we invite our entire community. And also, I want to just say before I think our time is going to be up shortly, we also want to say to our Nicaraguan community out there that, if you have some time, just come out and give us a helping hand, because we're still in need of some help. We're still in need of some donations, pretty much food-wise. So if any business place would hear us in terms of what we're planning to do on Saturday, you can just give us a call and let us know what you're willing to donate to this great cause.
Well, I appreciate you extending that invitation, and I think what is very evident, just like Christmas here, or during the Heritage Week celebrations, just like Diwali with our friends from Indian community, just like so much, these on Saturday provides an opportunity for many of us to get the treats, the favorite foods that we would not otherwise have time to make, would not be able to access as conveniently, and even if we don't know about it never, maybe to be introduced, to be able to get a chance to try it, just so that you can say, well, I've experienced it. Whether it's the soup or
yes, or the rice and beans.
There you go.
I noticed that you sounds a little bit intrigued about that mondongo soup.
Put it this way, right? Put it this way. I grew up enjoying fish tea. I've managed over the years to recognize how we've. And I'll be careful because I don't want to offend the palates of some, how we refined it. So just from the context of the fish tea, you throw the bones, the head and everything, and you eat it. Now we're a little
get the substance.
Yeah, a little more selective, so we make sure the fish is, properly filleted, so there's a little or no chance of a bone. But you wonder, in making it safer, much more presentable to the unsuspecting palate, have you taken away from its essence? I'm not quite sure yet. The Manango soup, let's leave it to you and check it out.
One more thing I just wanted to remind our public that this is for a great cause. You're helping out one of the NPO, Cancer Society, and also, it's part of the proceed will be going to our Nicaraguan community, which was affected by the Hurricane Ian. So come out, enjoy yourself on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to seeing our community out there.
At the airport park from 11 a.m.
11 a.m. onward.
All right.
Yes. We'll have some music there. There will be no liquor provided. That's out of the question. It's the family fun day, so we want to make sure that every family come out there would enjoy their time with us.
Come with a winning spirit, leave with a satisfied heart.
Yes, right.
Hey, thanks very much. Let us know in the future how we can help. Let us know what we can do, because I think more and more of us that stand in the gap, reflect, and recognize the importance of being part of our community. We can make it the kind of place that we want: safe, secure, stable, civil, loving, kind, considerate, compassionate. Those are things we want.
I completely agree. Thanks again, Mr. Sterling, for having me on today, and thank Radio Came On for always making it possible for us to be here. Truly appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Most welcome. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and the week. Yes. Saturday, I hope, is just a wonderful day of festivity and fellowship.
Yes.
All right, 11 a.m. at the airport park.
Yes.
Well, it's Monday. Again, a special thanks to my colleagues, to my friend Miss Laura for filling in last week and a bit prior. I enjoyed the time away. Can't say it was rest, but I did manage to get some things done.
Yes.
And I'm also, with a heavy heart, reminding and inviting our wider community to remain in prayer. There's a lot of us who are still feeling, that sadness that comes with loss. So
yes.
It's a challenge time, but
very challenging time.
We'll get there.
But God is always there when we call upon Him for help.
Amen. But thank Him that He's a merciful. Because,
yes.
Well, I don't know about you, but I sin a lot.
Yes.
So you imagine He would judging me now?
Let me tell you something. I don't think any one of us would be here, but He's a merciful God. I accept that, and I agree with that.
Thank you. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Make it as productive as you can. Find time to remain in prayer and find time to draw alongside, especially our elderly, as we look at this month in particular. And God's willing, you'll be with us tomorrow after the midday meditation. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours,